partner's trauma.
Is that social media? Is that TV? Because where is that coming from?
A few things. Well, social media teaches you that everybody is what? Replaceable. And they're not. And let me tell you why. Because people are falling in love with the ideology, the fairy tale of marriage, not with the person. So if you want marriage in the fairy tale, not the person, then you'll be able to take marriage in your ID and clothe it on anyone you come in contact with. You never plug into anybody. But if you're trying to be in a relationship with a person, you plug into that person. That means
I must say, Dr. Bryant, you're on point on this one. Listen, we're talking to you guys about social media and relationships, and I have to say, this was actually a really good interview with Dr. Bryant and Tamron Hall. She really plugged in, blood. What's wrong with you? Talk English. Anyway, pun was intended. But for real, like what she was saying about social media and how it's shaped the landscape of relationships is huge. I always joke around with saying about Snapchat and Instagram are the works of the devil, but I really mean it. Because they have become the dopamine rush for a lot of people to endure when it comes to very difficult parts of the relationship. Every relationship has an up and a down, but when there's down parts of the relationship, we're a generation now who are struggling with being able to be in a place where we are hurt for a long time, we don't like to be unhappy for a long time, we're unable to endure. And whilst I do believe that, of course, there are certain relationships that you just shouldn't be in, okay, but there are a lot of relationships too where you're actually not trying to endure because you don't want to feel like, you know, you're losing out. You don't feel like, oh, I am, you know, you want to feel like there's other options out there. You feel like, do you know what, I can get better. And what you must realize is that not everybody's replaceable. When you love somebody and they really are good for you, but you're still, you know, processing things, trying to work things out, trying to solve the conundrum of your relationship, yeah, this isn't the time to replace them. You know what I'm saying to you? Now, of course, if you know they're not the right relationship for you, you know that God has told you, your friends have told you, your spirit's telling you, your heart and your gut's telling you, that's completely different. But there are situations where you know that you're just you're not wanting to endure, or you can't find a solution to the problem. And yeah, maybe you need to stick in it a little bit longer. But of course, everybody each their own. But I'm talking today about social media and how the DMs and the Snapchats and the Instagram and people liking your photos, entering your DMs makes people feel like they've got more options than they actually do. You don't have those options. Grab a pen and a paper right now. You don't have those options. I don't have those options. You really don't have as much options as you like to think you have. No, you have a lot of people coming towards you, quantity. But how many of them do you actually like? How many of them actually like you? How many of them actually really want you? How many of them do you really want? How many of them are willing to marry you? How many of them are willing to be in a committed relationship with you? How many just want to have sex with you? Look, keep it a buck and let's keep it real. The options aren't that many. It looks like it is because your DMs are full. It looks like it is because people always watch your stories on Snapchat. It looks like it is because you can get a lot of swipes on Tinder. But the reality of the situation is people that truly love you and care about you, they're few and far between. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about social media and how social media has influenced people in relationships now to not endure in long-term relationships. Now, before we get there, please do me a massive favor. You like it, you share, you subscribe, you click on that bell button for notifications of the uploads. And don't forget to click all because we want you to get notified of when I go live and when we also upload new videos all the time. Okay, let's get into this because I think, again, like I said, what Dr. Bryant was saying was really a blessing in talking about social media and how people, you know, replace people.
Means they are not replaceable. They're not. Because if you're my best friend and I plugged into you, Tamron, and we have an argument or a fallout and I plugged into you, not just the idea of a best friend, if we get into it, girl, I'm heartbroken.
Yes.
When my mom...
And I think that's a key thing, what she just explained there, right? That when you get into it, she is heartbroken. Why? Because she actually values a relationship. And I'm sure many of you can actually understand that, right? When you're in a relationship, you do value that person. And it does hurt when things are not working, right? But what social media does is it creates these endless options to create a disposable market. But the options aren't really options. Okay? You're seeing people who are quote unquote prospectus, but they ain't buying. And instead of investing into deep connections with people, we kind of superficially do this where we lightly touch or lightly commit. We're committed only until it goes bad. And when it goes bad, and we don't do it no more. Right? We breadcrumb people, they breadcrumb us. We jump ship at the first sight of issues and inconvenience, not working out how to bring solutions to the table. We get shallow in our transactions and we exchange love for sex or sex for money. And we try to buy our way into these relationships. That's what social media is doing right now. Number two, it creates these false images of what a romantic relationship actually is. You know, we've got these false ideas of what it looks like. People are doing massive Valentine's Day things and you're looking at your partner like, why you ain't doing it? Why ain't you doing that for me? Why ain't you, bringing the biggest balloon and the biggest teddy bear to my room? Why are you not taking me to Paris? Look what your age mates are doing, and look what you're doing. You know what I'm saying to you? It creates this comparison which never makes you happy to exist in your current state. The Bible says, Paul said to us that I am content in the little and in the much. He's content either way, right? So that comparison, which is our next point, it actually breeds people feeling like they can replace you. You can't replace me. I can't replace you. There are things that you do that are unique to you as to why I even liked you in the first place. There are things that make you intrinsically attractive, successful, that make you have this aura that no one else can do that you do. Right? Now suddenly people are not enough for us because they are easily upgradable when they're not, and easily disposable when they're not. And the reality is, if somebody believes that they are easily disposable, how can they build deeper roots with you? How can you build deeper roots with them, knowing that you may fleet at any moment? You can't. Okay? What social media also does is that it brings this instant gratification, undermines emotional depth. Because you're getting the dopamine rush, right? For instance, maybe you're having an argument with your partner and you go on the internet, you type a little post and people are all liking it. See, I get people liking me. How come my partner can't treat me right? You start doing that because you've got a dopamine rush. You don't realize that you have to ride the waves of the relationship up and down. You have to be able to flow with it. There are going to be times where it's good, sometimes where it's bad. Right? But the need to not feel any type of to feel any kind of, how do I say this? Pain, to feel like any moment where you can't endure, suddenly you're waiting for an out. Some people have, some of us talk about addiction. Social media is an addiction for people of getting out of where they are. So they're not out of the relationship, but they're emotionally out the window. Right? And what ends up happening is you slowly begin to demean the process of building emotionally in your intimate relationships, right? You become impatient in the way that you deal with people. If it's not like this, I don't want it. If it's not microwavable, I don't want it. And then we don't spend time actually building up the blocks that build a foundation for us to build a tall building on. In relationships, it's almost like having good cooked food. When your mother was in the kitchen, slaving away, God bless her, for a couple of hours, making that good food from scratch. But when you ate it, it was like, because it's coming from a place of having to have built the ingredients into a meal. It took time. Okay? It wasn't microwavable. Now, microwavable is good it's quick, but it doesn't carry the same nutrients and the same love. And so we have to look at that relationships in that same way with social media, that it promotes this microwavable generation. And instead of working through problems, really kind of, unearthing some of the traumas that we've got, really working together, journeying together. The Bible says, how can two agree unless they walk together? As they walk together, they're going to experience life together. Jonathan didn't knit his soul to David without there being an experience. There was experience. Right? People are afraid to commit now because they're like, what if? The what if is sometimes what's going to get people into trouble, because what if it is better over that side on the green side? What if there is this new person coming up to me? This person's coming up to me. This person's there. All these new possibilities making you feel like you can do better. You can't. You haven't got options. I'm sorry to tell you, you may get into a relationship next and it'll be just as awful, because you are the actual issue when it comes to actually making a relationship good. It's only as good as you're going to allow it to be. It's only going to be as green as you're willing to water the sides that you're on. And so if you consistently be looking at social media, looking at other people's relationship, you are going to suffer. You're going to suffer because you're always going to think that this grass is greener on the other side. And that it's going to make you feel like settling down. Why settle down? I could be with someone else. I'm missing out on the fun. I'm missing out on, the good times over there. Okay? Don't let social media rob you and make you think that you have more options than you actually do. Okay? All right? Nurture the real connections. Social media has a way of making people feel replaceable. You are not replaceable. Neither is the person that you're trying to love. Okay? It may not work out, and that's understandable. But if it's not working out because you are consistently on social media comparing someone to someone else, you're looking at how better it could have been, you're probably going to have an issue. Right now, I want to say this. Listen, if you're going through something like this right now, where you're not sure how to have a healthy relationship, you're not sure how to have the building blocks of a healthy relationship, it's gonna be a great time to reach out to me. My coaching links are down below in the description box for you as well. Okay, I would love for you to grab on it, get in the few spots that are left before we go obviously public again in April. I think end of March before we go full time again. But we'd love to be able to hear you guys who want to be in a place of healing, transforming, and growing. Probably the English very better. My English be failing me these days, isn't it? You know what I'm saying to you. But listen, once more again, please like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for the notification of the uploads. Do not let social media deceive you to think that they're replaceable, because they're not.